So if we will talk about the rally which took place like 1 week ago, it was spontaneous because all the time we have people here from Ukraine who escaped from persecution being activists, and all of a sudden they told us that something weird happened there, their friends were beaten up by the police and nobody is opening an investigation. And we came up with the idea that we have to hold a rally against persecution of gay activists, queer activists in Ukraine, because usually people often talk about Russia, often talk about Chechnya, often talk about some kind of Muslim regions, but they never mention Ukraine, because by surface in Ukraine is a good situation. And Rus LGBT organized the whole event with help of our two guys who are from Ukraine and Voices for Chechnya. I asked them to join because lately we've been doing a lot of activism with them, and of course the first and primary goal for Voices in Chechnya was focused on what's going on in Chechnya region. So it wasn't their particular organization who held the rally, but we invited them because they're very passionate and very interested in what's going on with their brothers and sisters and how they identify themselves in that region. So, and usually, as I mentioned, it's very rare that somebody will just say, why are you protesting against Ukrainian government if you have the institutional basis, anti-discrimination law, whatever, but it's only surface, because behind the curtain you see a lot of homophobia still exists in Ukraine. That's why we try to support our people, because we're befriended with some Ukrainian organizations, and we decided we have to go there, we have to let the Ukrainian embassy consulate know that we are still afraid and we care about people, LGBTIQ people, particularly in Ukraine. So this was the plot and some kind of case scenario for us, but because Russia always reacts on something if it happened in our former Soviet Union republics, because we've got all people all over 12 former Soviet Union republics. That's why it was the case.
Do you need I love that.
Oh, it's in English?
In Ukrainian. Yes.
No, but all my Ukrainian friends are messaging me.
Well, I like it.
If Dimitri comes, I let him carry.
Здравствуйте, мои протестующие братья и сестры. Тебе нужен просто плакат, пока у меня еще остались. Yes, L-Y. O-S. Yes. Yeah, touch. Please.
The universe is pushing us together. That's the
What I told that Americans all this
So we haven't heard back, but I know that our guys who were main organizers, they sent to Ukrainian consulate over some petition, but we never had any response. So, but you know, it takes time. I believe they're concerned, I believe they heard, I believe they got it, but it takes time to come up with any solution how to handle it, because as was said during the rally, Ukrainian government very concerned about their face, about their image in the international arena, especially in the European area and the United States arena. So I guess they have to respond somehow. But I assume they will come up with the same old, some protocol phrases like, we have to handle it, we will take care of that, we're trying to modernize Ukrainian society, you know, nothing special, but at least it pushed them forward. It has done something, I hope. But we are trying to be very optimistic. But knowing how the machine, ideological machine, propaganda machine works inside those countries, it's very difficult to say when it will blow.
I will also tell you that we did send our PR and also a letter to consulate and specifically to general consul. He chose not to answer us. We asked them to come out and speak to us and understand what we are standing here for. We didn't hear an answer. Neither did we expect it really, but it would be nice if they would. And one of the reasons was to be closer to European Union and have no visa travel to European Union. So when there's this request from European Union to give no travel visa, there are certain parameters that every country has to adhere to, and treatment of LGBT folks is one of them. So for a lot of purposes, the official statements were made that would tell the world that LGBT is free in Ukraine. But what we hear from people inside that the sentiment is not yet penetrated.
When I was already at college, third year of college, all of a sudden I realized that I had no knowledge about LGBTIQ culture. I had no knowledge about LGBTIQ identity and started researching, doing studies, which has become my lifetime career in terms of science. So, and when I got to know a lot of facts and evidence from history, from political retrospective, I was very, very impressed. And I decided this is what I have to do to bring awareness to ourselves, not to, first of all, not to a community outside, like straight community, whatever, but we have to enlighten ourselves, we have to educate ourselves, because that's why our repression mind works in a bad way, because we always don't see that it has been since the beginning of the world. That's why people would, take all of this religious stuff, on political stuff seriously, trying to suppress their identities because they think they're seen, they're wise, they're crime. So this was my general agenda, to combine science and practice and reality, to show the people that you're not alone, and you have to accept and embrace yourself as other people, as other religious group embrace themselves. So it was I guess it was because I needed to establish my own identity, and I started researching it. And I was lucky because my department was very liberal at that time, and they let me to dive into this area, and I'm really appreciative towards what they let me do. We just went to the local bar, which was close to my dormitory I used to live in as a student, and we got there and we just was sitting, chatting, and all of a sudden one of our friends started some kind of, not fight, but verbal arguments with local guys who just pulled him over and put in the circle and started insulting him. And I was already tipsy, and nobody helped him out. I just stand, I get into the circle, I started cursing them that you, 5 of you on one guy, and they started screaming something, you faggot, blah 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 blah. They took me by the shirt and pulled all out of the streets and started beating me up. So by booze, by shoes. I didn't remember anything because I got unconscious for a while. When I woke up, I was already, it was a huge bruises and hematoma, and half of my face was paralyzed. When I got beaten up and I woke up next day and I had to go to medical, it's called not emergency room, but in Russia it's special trauma punkt. So when you get beaten up or get accident, you have to go and report on, because probably you have to check if you're okay. I went there with my mom came over in that day. We went there and they sent report to the police, to the local precinct. And after a while they called me out and started asking questions, and the investigator, detective, was very nasty and some kind of homophobic, and he didn't mention directly, but he told me that I know who did it to you because those guys are on our radar, but nobody is gonna open up the case because you have to blame yourself. And he started a lot of perverts in my area, you have to be careful, blah blah blah. And after 3 months, the general attorney of our region sent me a letter that they didn't find any evidence to open up the case and accuse somebody and push charges against.
To hunt gay people. So my personal message, which I brought here, it's like stop hunting gay people in Ukraine. And because we are like not animal. Ukraine once looks like democratic country which respect human rights at all. And Ukraine even tried to make some good picture, like protecting some gay pride once per year. Physical protection, their citizens. Physical protection. LGBT people, they don't care about this. And the people in Ukraine and the gay people in Ukraine really disappointed.
I was inspired for the small period of time, for little period of time. I was inspired that, oh, people want to hear it. Even they didn't want, I will take it. I will tell them. I had changed the whole curricula inside my university, agricultural university. Can you imagine if you go to agricultural university and they study how to cultivate potato and never will be given with any social humanitarian studies, and all of a sudden you, very open, very emotional, telling those students who never experienced any history, political, whatever, about different groups of people. Prostitution, substance abusers, gay people. So because I tried to change and I saw how they were interested in, because they're like virgin minds. So that's why it was very not the question in that time to leave Russia, and I didn't have any opportunities. I didn't think about it much until some kind of people who started pointing out that there is no place for you, you have to consider the opportunity to leave, because they already started doing some weird stuff with people like you. So it started in 2011, and not the first, but the most powerful propaganda against LGBTIQ people occurred in Russian TV, connected to pedophilia. So the first what they done, they passed pedophilia legislation. We had to go to the police precinct, all professors, teachers, kindergarten teachers, to obtain a record. You never were convicted in pedophilia. So every year we had to, since 2011, get this, we call it spravka, some kind of order, record from the police department.
This is like the most important thing in the world, community voice. When people rise up in one place, so all others follow them, and we are visible and we are heard in the world. So really thank you for doing this.
I'm so happy to meet you, and I'm so very proud of the work you guys are doing.
First, the legislation of pedophilia. After that, they came up with very interesting and beautiful concept of foreign agents. All NGOs, all Western projects, all Western foundations were declared foreign agents who tried to influence Russian politics. Eventually, this legislation wasn't passed to protect the children from the undesirable information. It was passed to control the opposition, to eliminate those people who still try to criticize the government. But it wasn't about the protection of children, it was about to eliminate, get rid of those elements who don't follow the Putin's lead. Orthodoxy, autocracy, and nationality. This was the main idea, because a Russian person, Russian man, is not gay, is not liberal, is not the person who drinks, even though everybody drinks, It's a healthy, Russian, brutal, masculine man with all of those religious appearances. All of a sudden I got a call from head of security department of our university. Oh, there's one guy who wants to meet with you. He is a new advisor of head of the University of Security. They knew exactly what I was doing, with whom I was doing, when I got home. So after that conversation, all of a sudden strange things started happening to me. So I will get a lot of calls, threats in social media. I will be threatened that you're sodomites, you're propagandist of State Department, you're agents of State Department, you had to leave a lot, and somebody started watching after my house. I will come back from the university in the night, and somebody was like, it was psychological attacks. And I got home and I started receiving from the intercom and different buzzes. My cell phone was blowing because of you're a faggot, watch after yourself because one day you could be dead. So something, a lot. And I had to move from my apartment to another apartment without any knowledge, not saying anybody my new address. It was different. It was very, psychologically, it was like unbearable every single day. I decided I had to leave, but I had to play the game until the end. Until my vacation, until July 2014, because if I will do it earlier, they will not let me out of the country, because you're under the radar. And that's why just when I got the first day of my vacations, I got the plane and I took off. Off I went, and it was something you cannot ever describe. It was something your whole life leaving behind. Being alone with yourself and by yourself, it was something very destructive and very hard experience. Now I love to be alone sometimes, but at that time it was 1,000 miles away. Strange country, strange culture, nothing, a lack of language still. But I pushed myself and I started doing some things which were leading up me to be introduced to LGBT community. For 3 years, I guess I have done much more than for the last years in Russia.
Citizens, thank you so much. Thank you once more again for coming. I would like to introduce you my colleagues and my good friend Alena Semenova, who also will make some small speech.
Let's make a protest. Let's come to this building and let's show them how we feel about it. Let's come here all together, and we are really grateful that you all are here today, because what is heard in the world, this is the community voice, the voice of people who really care about their brothers and sisters, How many Ukrainians are here tonight? Today?
2, 3.
Yes, you see people, right? LGBT is really more connected community than ethnic community. That's why we really appeal to you, because these are people who will really support each other in the whole world, So what we want this state to do for us, hate crime.
So I believe that the whole journey which Russia has been done for the last 4 years definitely impacted at least the local government here, because the rhetoric in New York City about asylum seekers, about immigrants has been changed, and asylum office got a lot of proof because of our case that it's not something mysterious media describes, because media here describes a little bit, in particular spotlight, particular angle, but when you're sharing your stories, when you present your narrative, it already helps, because at least we are not strange people from another planet. We're people who got here from there, and we were living that hell because it still exists. The most important for all immigrants who come recently, who came in different times, to find sense of belonging, to find somebody, the group to belong to. So because they are broken, they are lost, they are repressed, they don't know, they like just don't know what to do, and they can come to us and we can guide them to some particular point, and when they gain power, they can already be by themselves.